Hi, my name is Joe Horn, and this is my video on cognitive learning and the human memory. Okay, I thought we'd take a step outside the classroom in the textbooks and focus on another aspect of teaching and long-term memory development, and that is coaching. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I thought it'd be a great source for this video. We are out of town, so you can see you're going to get the picnic table notebook version as opposed to classroom and whiteboard. Today we're going to learn about attacking the line of scrimmage, or what I like to call playing downhill. I start this out in the classroom on a whiteboard. I have all the kids in there. A lot of my questions directed directly towards the freshman class. So I begin with, what am I talking about? Does anybody know what it means when I say, let's play downhill? Most of them don't, a lot of shrugs. So I begin with some imagery, okay? And on a whiteboard, I basically give them something that looks like this. I give them the line right here. This is our line of scrimmage right here. This is where the football's at. This is where we play football. This is how I draw my my center. Okay, this is our offense right here. This is our defense. This is our linebackers with the LB, LB, LB. Okay. Now, playing downhill means every time that ball is snapped and given to the quarterback right here. Okay, this ball is coming either this direction or coming this way. So as a linebacker, we always want to be playing downhill towards the line of scrimmage. Okay, so that's what I mean when we're playing downhill. If you think about standing on a hill, leaning forward a little bit, and it's going to force you to kind of start taking those steps going down that hill, that's what I'm talking about downhill. So I spend a lot of time with imagery just through play development so they can picture it. I also thought that from here we'll go outside. I'll do a little bit of stuff outside on the field without a lot of the equipment I have, but kind of talk you through that. And then at the end of every practice, we always wrap it up, go back inside, and we show some cut-up film from college football through West Virginia or anybody. It really gives another concrete example to a high school kid when they look at a big-time college football player doing the same exact steps and the same repetition that they do. And so it really gives them a hard example. So that's the introduction. That's what we call our chalk talks and our imagery part, and we'll head outside and work on the rest of it now. Okay, so we've moved out of the classroom. Now we're out on the field. Now, normally I'd have a set of cones and a fire hose that's laid down flat across here showing the line of scrimmage and the cones that go downhill. But normally practice would go something like this with these new kids. I'd get them out here, stand in front of them, and I'd ask them, okay, now again, remember we're talking about playing downhill and attacking the line of scrimmage. So first thing we got to do is make sure that we're in a good football stance. Now, a lot of us have been through weightlifting class. We remember how to squat. It's the same exact sort of stance. Okay, feet are shoulder width apart, knees are slightly bent, shoulders are back, and our head is up. Okay, this is our linebacker stance, and our first step is always going to be downhill, pushing towards that line of scrimmage. Okay, so I'd have that out in front of me, and I take them through that first one. And the first one, we just take that one little step over and over and over again, all together in a line. Then we move on to the next step, pushing downhill to that first hit. And I'd start by, again, getting them in that good stance, bring them down here, take that step, another shuffle step, and moving towards the line of scrimmage. In this case, towards the camera. That's where the quarterback plays. That's where we want to play football. A lot of times when I have my kids here in front of me, I'll ask them, especially when we get to the point of where we're going to actually make contact with a running back right here at the line of scrimmage, would be, I'd ask them a question. One would be, what happens when you dive in the shallow pool? Ever since we were a little kid, what happens when why are you not supposed to dive into a shallow pool? Usually I always get the answer, you'll break your neck, you'll get paralyzed, it's bad stuff. That's stuff that they know, that they've heard about for a long time. Okay, same thing in this game. As we come downhill, I bring that in and I tell them, it's the same exact situation, same rules. When you get here, if your head goes down, that's just like diving into a shallow pool, okay? Your head goes down, somebody hits you on the top of the head, okay, it can lead to paralyzation, death, all those bad things. So that kind of fits in with what they already know, and then builds on top of it that they understand, what could happen if they don't follow the actual rules of the game. So again, I'd have a whole bunch of kids lined up here. We'd go over questions like that, and then we'd go back through our steps of attacking downhill, and just be one after another. One would get down here, get set, keep his foot up, or his head up, take a step, come downhill, and then the next person in line would go. And we'll go through this every single day. Over and over again, build repetition, and then I explain to the kids, okay, this is what we call our EDDs. Okay, I call them EDDs because they're, what's that stand for? A lot of times nobody knows. We kind of get hit with a little bit of shrug shoulders, stuff like that. But EDDs, I break down for them, stands for everyday drill. Okay, so as soon as we're done with our stretches, we break out as a group, in our linebacker group. This is what we do every single day. The first thing before we go anywhere else with practice is we always get together, we line up, we get on our fire hose down in front, showing the flat line, okay, with the cones that stack downhill, and we get in, and the kids would be lined up behind the first one in line, and they take their steps, and they go through the repetitions, starting with the inside hole and then the outside, then the next one, then we flip and we take it with a left foot step. So in conclusion, to wrap up, I just want to go over some of the teaching strategies and the different things we do to gain long-term memory from our players in our football program. We teach on a lot of questioning involved. That helps us gauge kind of what the kids know, what they understand. Also gives us a feel for the things that they're into. We use a lot of references back to old movies, funny movies, music videos, in a lot of our, kind of trying to make it meaningful to them and associate it with other stuff. The ones that they know, we try to stay with those. If we get a little too far out of their era, we stay away from that. But group work and concrete examples are another big part of what we do when we're essentially teaching our young football players. It starts, as you've seen, with the whiteboard. The chalk talks is what we call them. Kind of a lot of imagery there, trying to associate just kind of what we're trying to get across to those guys so they can see it in pictures. And then once we move them out to the field, we engage their sensory memory by letting them go through the steps, letting them feel if somebody's rocked back on their heels or too far forward. A lot of times, we'll walk up and push them backwards or pull them forward so they get the feel of what it means when they're out of position. We transfer into their working memory, and when we do that, we're trying to create an automatic response by doing these as EDDs and through rehearsal to get it to where it's automatic, that they know that they're always taking that first step forward, and that right before there's any sort of collision, not just on the football field, but just as they always remember it, that they keep their head up and they sink their knees and go down low. This translates to their long-term memory skills when we see it in our seniors and our older kids that have been through the program a little bit at the beginning of practices, especially during two-a-days when they're declaring to the younger kids, this is how you do it. This is how you have to hit. Is you have to keep your shoulders square and keep your head up. And they say, I know that if I don't take that right step, then I'm going to be a step slow and behind and not make the play. So they declare to the younger kids that they know what's coming. They understand it. And then the episodic really comes into play, especially in any sports program, football, basketball, volleyball, because they take this knowledge and they apply it to scrimmages, games. I know in our program we have what we call scripted scrimmages, where we actually set up the offense and defensive play so we can put kids in certain situations to see how they react, to see what they remember. And it's through that personal episode experience that it really retains in their long-term memory.